So I shout and I scream, get me out.
Hello, Trev here. It's World Mental Health Day 2020, and I thought I'd do another video on mental health. The Time to Talk videos were quite popular. I did them a year or so ago about paranoia and depression. But I want to do another one on the 5 ways to wellbeing. This is an Oxfordshire Mind leaflet. So connect, be active, take notice, keep learning, and give. So what I really want to focus on is lockdown and how this might apply to us at the moment, because I know a lot of people are really struggling with their mental health. It's being talked about a bit in the media, which is good, but I don't know that I've not seen a lot of kind of strategies on how to cope with this this climate, how to take care of your mental health. So I think if we have a little look at it now. So first of all, connect. So to connect, how do we connect in lockdown? Okay, it might feel like you're very unconnected or disconnected from people because you might not be able to see them. You might not be able to go and hug the people that you love. But for me, I think what's really helped is to try and think of connect in terms of nature, in terms of being outside, perhaps birds, animals. I'm lucky I've got a cat. I can connect with my cat, stroke my cat. So there's an element of connection which is more to do with things that are stable, perhaps. So connect with the wind, you know, with the rain. So I'm outside at the moment. I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's raining a bit. Also, online things. Some people are a little bit sick of online at the moment, which is understandable. But certainly, you can still connect with Zoom or Skype. You can still connect with people and just kind of stay connected. The other thing I would say about connection is that when I've suffered in the past from mental health things, I've often felt very on my own. I felt like I'm the only one sort of experiencing this. It's really important to realise that you're not the only one who is suffering in this lockdown. There's a lot of people who are in very similar situations, very similar boats, losing jobs, struggling with money, struggling with their relationships, maybe struggling with who they live with or their neighbours. You know, there's a lot of connection in knowing that we might forget. A lot of our media, perhaps, and social media and news is kind of feeling like it's encouraging disconnect, encouraging us to kind of like have different views, like the idea of the election and the politics, or pro-Trump, not, you know, anti-Trump, you know, these sort of things, Brexit, pro-Brexit, all of these sort of things are kind of quite divisive, and they're all encouraging disconnection, unfortunately. So be aware of that and try and like counter it, because actually you don't have to fall out with your friends. You know, you don't have to agree with everything in order to you know, to feel some form of connection. So COVID, you know, some people are very worried and anxious. Some people, you know, maybe think it's a conspiracy, or, you know, there's a big divide. So try and connect even though you've got differences, which can be a challenge. But actually, I think it's really important to think. Don't be encouraged to disconnect from people that you know. So be active. Being active. I'm quite an active person. I feel that I've done quite a lot of kind of sporty things. For me, setting a challenge is quite a good way to be active. So I ran the virtual London Marathon the other day, which was really great. It was very, very different to a real marathon. There was no kind of supporters, but the fact that I was doing it at the same time as other people, the fact that I had a little app that kind of clapped me, which was kind of quite fun. And yeah, so there's an element of kind of being active and finding your own way of doing that. I also did climbing up and down my stairs and kind of getting to the height of Mount Everest, which was took a while, but there was an element of kind of finding a way within your own method. My dad's been really loving his e-bike, which is an electronic bike, which just helps. It enables him. He's a little bit older, so it enables him to go further and to actually kind of get up the hills, for example. So it's enabled him to cycle where perhaps he wouldn't have been active enough or fit enough to actually do that. It might be a case of kind of doing something like walking every street in your village, for example. So I'm very keen on that sort of challenge. But your own challenge might be doing some push-ups every day, or setting yourself a goal, sort of a long goal, like in November or up to Christmas. Can you do such and such every day to be a bit more active? I also remember at the beginning of lockdown, there was this kind of daily exercise idea, and some people kind of didn't exercise hardly at all before that. So this element of daily exercise was a bit strange, and some people have kind of exercised more in lockdown than they had before. So I think we just need to remind ourselves of that kind of routine. Unfortunately for me, Joe Wicks isn't doing his daily thing anymore, because I really loved the Joe Wicks little kind of morning kind of fitness sessions, PE with Joe. But you can still look at the old ones. You can still kind of go online and look at old sessions with him, or you can do yoga with Adrienne. There's quite a lot of online resource for fitness and being active that won't cost you any money at all. You could also probably do local groups, which might cost a little bit to kind of engage with some other people, but you might be able to do a yoga class with a few people still online, and that would be a really good thing, I think. I've also used apps like, for example, Strava is quite a nice way to connect being active to other people, so you can kind of share what you're doing. You don't have to be a runner or a cyclist to be on Strava. You can also do kind of yoga, you can do swimming, you can log all sorts of different things. You can log your e-bike rides, and that could be helpful. Take notice. So yeah, to take notice for me at the moment in lockdown is quite a lot to do with emotions. So taking notice of how you're feeling, which can link with kind of acceptance as well. So if you're feeling frustrated or angry or lonely, so acknowledge that feeling and kind of, I guess, just sort of sit with it. Don't try and like alter it. So a lot of energy that I spend, certainly, and I know others do too, is kind of like maybe feeling frustrated and trying to like not let that feeling kind of happen, if you like. So you're trying to like pretend to be happy or be yourself, so to speak. There's that old cliche, isn't it? Be be yourself. So you're kind of like you're not allowing this feeling to be there. So really, I think being mindful and noticing your feelings and allowing them, it is a sad time, it is a difficult time, you are going to feel lonely, you are going to feel sad, so try and allow those feelings. Another thing with taking notice is, I think, the amount of time you spend on, for example, social media. So if you spend a lot of time on social media and you come to the end of the day and you think, well, I spent like 5 hours on social media, which some people do. Try and take notice of why you're doing that. Why are you doing that behaviour, and try and if you feel like it needs it, try and sort of modify some of your behaviours. If you are spending a lot of time doing something unhealthy, take notice of that and try and look at one of the other ones. Connect with nature, be more active, keep learning. These sort of things can often sort of tie together. So take notice if you are being unhealthy. Also taking notice of things which again are a bit more kind of primal. So taking notice of your breath is a really good meditation. Taking notice of the birds if you hear them, or maybe even kind of car noises. I don't know, if you're in a built-up city and there's lots of car noises, taking notice of those noises. The builders, there's someone working on a roof. My neighbour Nathan, he's got his roof, so I've got clanking and those sort of sounds. But if I take notice of those sounds, that's better. It's quite a meditation sort of thing. It's better than sort of going, oh, I really hate those noises, for example. Take notice of them. Take notice of your breath. Take notice of your feelings.
I scream, get me out of here. So I
Keep
shout,
learning. Okay, so keep learning again in lockdown. It's such a changing, goodness me, it changes every day, it seems, certainly every week. There's different restrictions, you're not knowing where you are. I feel quite lucky in a way. I've got dyslexia, and sometimes that's not helpful at all. But I think in terms of creativity and in terms of finding different routes, dyslexia is a really great thing, and I'm conscious that other people don't think like me. So if there's a barrier, you've got to kind of like work around it. So for example, if you've got more time at home because you're shielding, or I don't know, if you're locked down for a different reason, if you're in in Manchester or Leeds, or where there are high restrictions at the moment, or I imagine it's going to change as we go into winter. How do you learn to be in your house, for example? Can you I don't know, sleep in your lounge, for example? Can you change your bedrooms if you've got kids? Make a whole new kind of world from the environment you've got. Can you sleep in your garden? I've been doing sleeping in my garden, which has been great kind of fun. I mean, it sounds a bit silly, and it has been a bit weird, but I think you're kind of like learning how to cope, if you like. Also, I give online music lessons, so I've been teaching kind of guitar and piano and singing and a bit of drums online. I've taught some people that haven't really kind of learned music before. Maybe they've got a bit more time. It might be you're in a position that you could think of something like that. You could take something up that's more substantial, which would be really great for your mental health, taking up a new hobby. I've been learning how to cook sourdough bread. I'm not very good, but it's been fun to learn how to do that. And I've put a pond in my garden. I'm really lucky to have a garden. Got a little small container, made a little pond. So hopefully I might learn about that. I might learn about the insects or the plants, or I'm learning about the water, the river, the pollution in the river, and learning about stuff like that. So it might be a case of there's stuff to learn that you haven't really thought about. It's really good for your mental health to learn stuff. So yeah, so also be creative. For me, I'm a creative person. I've just released another album, Fall Into Place. The most sort of mental health related song on that album was Get Me Out of Here, which might be a feeling that some of you have, this kind of, get me out of here. But there are some more upbeat songs on it as well. But for me, being creative is a really important journey with mental health. So it might be kind of doing painting or drawing, writing, poetry, all sorts of things that are creative are very, very helpful for just releasing kind of the kind of monotony and the kind of built up kind of, what's the word? Problems, if you like. It's kind of like dreaming, if you like, dreaming in consciousness. So if you're drawing a picture and you're just letting your pen go wherever, it's like there's no barriers, and it kind of can let out some things that you might be struggling with traumatically, or these thoughts kind of can really be translated in a way that they're not from just linear thinking and talking. Give. Okay, so the last one on the 5 ways to wellbeing is give, and I think this can be really hard if you are struggling. It can be really hard to think of other people, full stop, really, because if you're so overwhelmed in your head, you can't think of anything else. It's just that is like top priority. But if there is any kind of way through that feeling of overwhelmed in yourself, to think about others, it's a really good thing to kind of encourage and nurture. So I'd encourage you to kind of think about people who maybe are isolated or that you know are vulnerable, and perhaps sort of, if you feel like reaching out to check how they are, sending messages, a little phone call. These are really good ways to give. You don't have to give massive amounts of things, you can give a bit of time. You can give a bit of support, often just by just little things. You might be lucky, you might not have lost your job. You might still have the same income that you had before lockdown. So it might be a case that you can give to, for example, the arts. You might be able to support going to the ballet. I think there is later today that for the first time. A lot of the arts are really struggling. So you could buy an album or, or something. You'll support local businesses perhaps, and you might not have thought about that before, but you might kind of think, well, actually, I've still got a job. I could support, and that's a way that I could give. It doesn't have to be quite as emotional as giving by listening or connecting in that way. So there are many different ways to give, and it is really, really great if you actually manage to do that. It does make you feel really good. So I hope you find that a little bit useful. Do take care of yourself. Remember, it's a really, really challenging time, and just be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and I'll see you soon.
We've been locked down for one too many days now, and it's too much. Our minds have given up.